Hey guys, Amina here, and in this video we're going to be talking about 10 ways to monetize your time or manage your time. So time management is what we're going to be talking about in this video. Make sure that you watch the whole video because a lot of these tips are things that are definitely not talked about in other videos. Like they're things that most people wouldn't think of it a way to manage your time, but it's how I essentially ran my whole life as an adult from the age of like 18 to now 40. I'm going to be 42 this year, which is crazy. But it is what's definitely gave me a lot of peace in my life, as well as a lot of flexibility to essentially live the life that I have built, my ultimate life, where I have freedom to do what I want day to day, to be the ultimate decision maker, to actually start and run businesses, to invest in different types of income producing ideas, to trying new things, to experiencing life in general that most people just doesn't realize that is really open to them. So make sure that you watch this whole video because I made a list because I really thought about like, okay, what are the things that if I had to break down my life for somebody on how I think about time and time management, what are the key things that I could tell, you guys, like what are the things that really make my life different from 99% of nine of most other people's lives. So this is the list that I came up with. And like I said, stay for the whole thing because a lot of it, like I said, is going to literally change your life. Okay. And you're going to want to save this video too and refer back to it until it comes ingrained into you that it is possible for you to, because I am literally like just like any of you guys that are watching this video, like I've had some struggles, like some serious struggles in my childhood, even in my adulthood. There's struggles that I have like with relationships, with money, with financing, with all this other stuff, right? That I've overcome throughout my life and I've learned from. So again, save this video, rewatch it. You can even like skip forward to this part where we're actually going to actually start with the tips. Okay, so first things first is going to be plan ahead. I cannot stress enough how important it is to plan ahead. And this is like the one that I am super bad at. So like out of the whole list, this is the one that I'm just like, but if I plan ahead, then, I'm not flexible anymore, which is totally untrue because I found, especially currently, like the last few years, if I do plan something and decide like not to follow through with it, it's a lot easier than never planning it in the first place. So always plan ahead. So if you want to go to that event, pencil it in, or you can actually like get a calendar and pencil it in, and just like plan for it. Like, okay, well, what do you need to get there? Where you need to stay? Who do you need to hook up with while you're there? If you're planning ahead, that's more of like vacation or like a business meeting, maybe out of town or something, or even a business event. But you can even plan ahead like date nights. You can plan ahead big purchases in your life. You can plan ahead like anything, like meeting new people. You can plan ahead. I'm trying to think of ones that I have done recently. So I've planned ahead trips, like literally my whole calendar is full of trips. And so far, like only 3 of them are booked, like, which is a lot in a way, but I do travel a lot during the spring, summer, and fall. So it's not unusual for me to have something already set in from prior years. But you need to plan ahead, like anything to do with trips, anything to do with big purchases, anything to do with like meeting people, any type of relationship stuff, like, because that is something you have to work on is relationships. So how are you planning out those dates? How are you planning out that interaction? Planning out things with your kids or your family members that should be planned out. Again, anything can change at any time, but you need to at least have some kind of game plan so you know what to get ready for. Like, how can you work toward that, and how can you improve it also? So that gives you enough time to breathe, and you're like, all right, I've got this thing coming up in a couple weeks, and I got to get all this stuff, or I got to, come up with this or whatever. It gives you a base plan. All right, so that's the first one. Plan ahead. Number 2, be consistent. Now, this is again probably the biggest one that I struggle with. But when I have a consistent schedule, now it doesn't have to be precise. Now there's a difference between precise and consistent. A precise schedule would be more like at 8 o'clock I get up and take a walk. At 9 o'clock I eat breakfast. At 10 o'clock, I start my emails. You know what I'm saying? That is a precise like deadline time. when I say be consistent, I mean more like you can like have like some kind of like daily routine that you do, and you need to be consistent on the actions that you do every day to hit whatever goal that is. And we're going to go over that a little bit more in the other things that we're going to be talking about. But when I mean consistent is don't just like make something and think it's going to take off right away. You're going to have to be like, all right, I am doing this thing for 3, 6, 9 months, 12 months. And this I have to stay consistent on. Even if instead of like, we'll say compared to my YouTube. All right. So for me and my YouTube, it's been a challenge for me to actually start posting the videos. And I've got tons of videos to post, everything from motivational stuff to life stuff to teaching stuff like this one. And for me, it's not so much of the actually recording, but it's actually the posting schedule. So now I need to get consistent on my posting schedule, which it doesn't matter what time I post it. I just need to make sure it gets done, even if I need to hire it out. But that consistent action is going to actually make my channel grow. It's going to actually make it something that I get excited about because I'll start to see results. So you need to be consistent, but you don't need to be precise. So as long as you're like, at least I got to get 10 videos out. It doesn't matter if I do it in, one day. It doesn't matter if I do it in like 2 hours. It just need to get done. So that's what I mean about consistent. You need to put into action a consistent like schedule that you are going to follow. And it doesn't have to be forever, which we'll go into in a little bit. So be clear on your boundaries. This is super important. And I have gotten really good at being clear on my boundaries lately. So I'm very proud of myself. So when I mean be clear on your boundaries, you just don't take phone calls throughout the day when people just randomly call you. You don't go out and party on certain times, certain days, because maybe the next day you've got something that you've got a big project or something to work on. So you need to have boundaries in your life to say, okay, I committed to this, and to get this done, I need to have the time and energy to put into it. So I can't just, wing it, and I can't just like go and do this other thing. So you have to have boundaries for yourself as well as other people. All right. So make sure that you do have boundaries. You turn your phone on airplane mode. You tell everybody that there's no way that you can do X, Y, Z during these times, because that is when you are actually working. This is really important for you guys that work for yourself, like I do, or even run your business or investments or whatever you do. You manage your kids, so you can stay focused on what needs to be done in that time. So you have all focus into that one thing. Again, super important. All right, and I've gotten really good at this over the last couple of years. Again, I'm super proud of myself for that. The next one here, we're on number 4. Is have deadlines on goals. All right. Another super important one. A lot of us like to have goals, but we have no measure, like time and measure on deadlines. So we need to have deadlines, but they need to be something that is kind of flexible. For example, like I have a deadline that is basically like once a week, where there's a certain amount of people that I like to talk to. And that's just more for building my network and just following up on relationships that I've already built with in my business and my brand. So with that, I have a deadline that I want to talk to so many people each week. And sometimes I don't like get to it until later in the week. Sometimes I get to it like first thing in the week, but the deadline keeps me like, oh my goodness, it's coming up. It's coming up. I've got to hit this imaginary finish line, right? And this could be on anything, but deadlines is going to keep you consistent. And then as you are planning out your week, if you have some deadlines to hit, that also gives you a challenge to be like, all right, I'm coming up to this deadline, and then reward yourself, actually have like a little like celebration. And it could be something really super small, like just, treat yourself out or treat yourself, treat you and a friend out, or, have some guests over or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be big, like, give yourself a facial or something, but it's something that's going to encourage you to keep hitting your deadlines. And a lot of them you probably are going to miss, because deadlines aren't essentially supposed to be there to pressure you to make you feel bad that you don't hit your deadlines, but it's more for you to have some kind of way of measure that you are actually putting the motivation and energy behind whatever you're trying to do and moving it even a slight bit forward. So anything that you do within your deadline, even to a slight bit forward than you would have had without that deadline, is a win. So praise yourself no matter what, even if you only got like a third of the way. It's still something more you would have got without that deadline. All right. Number 5, plan by life season. And then when I mean by plan by life season, I mean that things in your life are going to change. People are going to pass away. Life circumstances come in and out. You end relationships, you start relationships. You have kids. Your kids move out of the house. You start a new career. You start a new project. You're always going to have things in your life or in your seasons that are going to change your direction, your motivation. So you need to essentially be flexible within those seasons, meaning that not every season is going to be the same, and you don't need to look at life like this is a one all end all type thing. Like, I'm going to be doing this thing for the next 40 to 60 years, or I'm going to be doing this thing for the next 10 years. Plan it more like in 3 months. And I really like planning my life around the 3 month model, so I can just stay focused within 90 days. I'm going to have XYZ. I'm going to do XYZ. It's also a good way to measure my goals, as well as, make sure my reports are really clear and getting the results that I need to see on the reports to figure out where I should be spending my time and for the next 3 months. So a lot of businesses do this with quarterly reports, and ingrain it into your life. So run your life in seasons. A lot of places there is actually seasons like winter, summer, fall, and spring. And with that, of course, even with the seasons, a lot of your life is going to change based around that. Maybe you don't like to go to the gym in the winter. Maybe you do like to go to the gym in the winter. Maybe you like to actually go snowboarding. How are you going to fit that in? So, be flexible in your day-to-day life, but within the seasons of your life. And this can also change where you're at in age. Because as you age, if you have kids or not have kids, you're also going to have doctor's appointments. You're also going to have their stuff that you want to be included in. And depending on your responsibilities, you got to look at it like a season. They're only going to be young so long. You're only going to have to go through whatever you're going through for so long. So again, if you break your life down into quarters, like every 3 months, it's going to be a lot more manageable for you to get a lot more done in your life. All right, so the next one is get an assistant or two to organize your life. That's my cat, by the way, scratching on the cat post. Okay, so get an assistant or two to organize your life. And why did I say or two? Because the more that you can have somebody else reliable for you and basically pick up your mess, then the easier life's going to become, because you can't be good at everything. But if you have somebody always there supporting you in any capacity, it's going to help you stay on track and actually complete the first half of all of these targets that I was telling you about on how you can manage your time. So if you can get help, get help. It's just going to keep everything a lot smoother and you less stressed that you might be forgetting something. All right, number 7, hire help even if you don't need it. So based on the assistant thing, but this is more like any type of help. I mean, like house help, cutting your grass. This is like doing your paperwork. This is like taking your kids out to go to their events. This is like getting a private driver for the weekend so you're not exhausted because you're driving everywhere. So this is any outside help that you can have in your personal life and in your business life that's going to free up your energy. Not so much your time, but your energy. And the reason why I like to focus around energy is because we really essentially only have so much energy. We might have the time, but we might not have the energy or the brain capacity because we're just so weighed down by everything else that we're thinking about and doing. So get help, let them think about it, let them figure it out. And then you can free up your time to actually focus on what you're going to be doing moving forward in your career or in your life. Okay. The next one is 8. Become more flexible. Don't limit yourself by overbooking. This is so important. I cannot stress how important this is. And I've gotten really good about this over the last 20 years is be flexible. A lot of my life is built around flexibility. My kids are homeschooled. I don't have to adhere to anybody's time schedules. I work for myself. I have my own investments. I have my own time schedule to do essentially what I want. Now I have to be diligent and I've got to delegate stuff to myself as I went over all the other key points on how I manage my time. And that's in essence is be flexible is making my life a lot smoother, because without me not being able to be flexible, I wouldn't be able to really feel free as my own person. Now there's some people that really like a really rigid schedule, like a time to time based schedule, and if you like that, go ahead and implement that in. It doesn't have to be forever again, but if you like this time I do this time I do that, this time I do that, I can't do that. Right? You might say that's ADHD. You might say that, I'm just not good at focusing, whatever it might be. It is. I just know I'm not that person. And it's worked fine with me just to have that flexibility. Now, there is some sacrifices you make, especially if you do decide to homeschool, if you do decide to work for yourself. There's still sacrifices, but there's sacrifices in everything. And this is a sacrifice that I am so happy to make. It is my lifestyle. So again, if you want more flexibility in your life, you're going to have to make changes in your lifestyle. And for me, the easiest change when my kids were born was just to always have them homeschooled. And it was something that was really good for their mental health as well during that time. And I just continue doing it until now. They're teenagers and handle all their school themselves. So it allows me the flexibility to not have to worry about certain schedules that they would have to adhere to. And every time like we look into like something that they want to be a part of, we have to make sure that it fits into my flexibility, meaning that a lot of the courses they take nowadays is online or something that I could drop them off at and they can like complete within a certain like time frame, not forever, not like, oh, you're going to be doing this for the next 4 years, unless we have somebody actually taking them. So again, you have to think about this every day in your lifestyle when you make these decisions. Make sure that you are actually looking at it as a whole. Follow the guideline that I just gave you on my time management and just live your life to the fullest, guys. I hope this video helped you and you learned a little bit about time management that you may not have ever thought about before. Make sure that you comment below on how you are now managing your time with these tips, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Take care. My name is Savina.